Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. And you can watch this program on our live on our Facebook page and also on our delayed broadcast on our YouTube channel. That's Radyo Pilipinas World Service. And you can hear this broadcast on our live audio streaming through PBS Evox receiver app, and also on our shortwave broadcast through the shortwave frequencies of the English program. That's 15.640 megahertz, 17.750 megahertz, and 21.720 megahertz, and can be heard from 200 to 3:30 hours UTC. And this is your host, Jerome Toledo. Let's begin Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
So let's talk about the recent roundtable discussion between the Philippine government and the U.S. business leaders. As in a recent business roundtable in the United States, Philippine Department of Finance Secretary Frederick Go urged American firms to invest in the Philippines, highlighting its strong economic fundamentals and strategic advantages. In that forum, Secretary Go showcased to American business leaders in the United States the economic reforms being implemented in the Philippines, as well as its young demographics and the burgeoning digital economy. And the Finance Secretary encouraged investment in high-impact sectors that will create meaningful jobs and support the development of the communities here in the Philippines. And these are our strategic investment pillars, and they represent both long-term growth and stability. So that's what Secretary Frederick Go said during that forum. And that visit happened as the world faces uncertainty, and that is due to the continuing conflict in the Middle East and the economic tariffs and other market uncertainties. So what were the discussions in that particular business roundtable in the Washington, D.C., and what we have gained from there? And to discuss more of that and to give us more insight regarding the business roundtable that happened last week, particularly April 20th, we are now joining live from Washington, D.C., the economic section head of the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C., Minister Hans Sariban. Good morning from here in Manila, Minister Sariban. Thank you so much for joining us in the program, Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good morning, Jerome. This is Hans Sariban from our economic section from the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. On behalf of Ambassador Jose Manuel Romualdez, we thank you for this opportunity to share with you the developments that we've had in recent weeks, especially the visit of the Philippine Economic Team here in Washington, D.C. Just to start, last week, there was a few weeks ago, starting April 14 to the end of early last week, there was a series of meetings here in the United States, both in Washington, D.C., and then New York, and then the last level in San Francisco. This was all in these meetings were in tandem with the World Bank, IMF meetings, which usually hold their spring meetings during this time.
Okay.
So Secretary Go was here along with Central Bank Governor Remolona, and senior officials of the economic team
Yes.
to talk to our U.S. partners and multilateral partners,
Mm-mm.
private sector on recent developments in the Philippines.
Yes.
And so there were a series of economic meetings, no,
Yes.
business roundtables with the private sector, and one of them was held in Washington, D.C.,
Mm-mm.
where, as you've mentioned, Secretary Go had and Governor
Remolona.
Remolona had a chance to interact with uh, a number of U.S. companies, and
Yes.
most of these companies are uh, big companies that have already
Mm-mm.
established presence in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
A number of them are
So,
quite
mm.
new also.
Yep.
That they are entering
Mm.
the country.
Well,
So they are from a cross section of industries.
yes.
A number of them are from um, finance, from
Yes.
aerospace, from advanced manufacturing. A number of them are in are hyperscalers. A number of them are also with agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a cross section
So it's a multi
companies.
sectoral, or I'm sorry, multiple sectors are involved in this
Yes.
business roundtable with,
Yes, and
yeah.
all in all, it was quite well attended. There were about more than 30 companies who
Mm.
attended
Okay.
that briefing, that business roundtable, and there was a lot of
Yes.
interest in, particularly in developments in the Philippines,
Mm.
especially as you've said, the world is facing a lot of headwinds
Yes.
in
Economic
terms of
headwinds.
um, no, not just economic headwinds, but also geopolitical headwinds,
Yes.
especially brought about by the situation in the Middle East.
Mm.
So Secretary Go had a good briefing. He was able to
Mm-hmm.
um, highlight the developments in the Philippines, that we continue to uh, expand the economy. We
Mm-hmm.
grew by a substantial amount, more than 4% last year, which is above the global average.
Yes.
And
That's right.
inflation continues to uh, be controlled,
Yep.
um,
That's right.
despite the of course, we continue to face pressure, no, for
Mm-hmm.
because of the
Mm-hmm.
volatile fuel prices.
Correct. Yeah. Well,
So,
mm-hmm.
nevertheless, Secretary Go mentioned, he highlighted that uh, our economic growth is supported mostly by very strong exports. We actually grew our
Mm-hmm.
exports by more than 8% last
Mm-hmm.
year to about $115 billion,
Yep.
which is a record growth. So, despite all the tariff
Mm-hmm.
um, developments, we still grew
Yes.
by
That's,
uh, remarkable amount.
yep. Mm-hmm.
So overseas remittances still remain strong, and our IT-BPM industry remains strong. So these are very important pillars that undergird
Yes.
Philippine economic growth.
Mm-hmm.
So, so these are just a few things, no,
Yes.
that Secretary Go discussed,
Uh,
and of course, you already highlighted some of them in your introduction earlier.
yeah, on that business roundtable with U.S. private firms and businesses. Okay, so those
Mhm.
were the discussions that focus on, and also 30 companies um, in the sectors of finance, aerospace, advanced manufacturing, and agriculture participated in that particular business roundtable. Okay, so I'll dive deep on the roundtable discussions itself, Minister Sariban. So, what were the pledges, or what we have gained in that particular roundtable meeting with those private businesses and large American firms?
Well, actually, a lot of them expressed continuing interest to do business in the Philippines.
Mm.
Actually, they were quite curious to find out how the Philippines is managing the crisis,
Mm-hmm.
especially the fuel crisis, how we are trying to uh, manage inflation, the rise in fuel prices. So Secretary Go gave a very comprehensive briefing of how we are proactively looking for new sources of fuel, new sources of oil. We are
Mm-hmm.
talking
Okay.
to many countries outside our traditional sources from the Middle East. So we're talking to countries in the Americas, we're talking to countries in Latin America, in other
Mm-hmm.
countries in Asia and Europe to diversify sources of fuel because it's important that we are able to establish this new alternative sources.
Mm-hmm.
And Secretary Go also mentioned the the uplift programs that the president is doing.
Mm-hmm.
The multi-sectoral approach to across different departments to provide targeted assistance to the most vulnerable sectors in the country, especially those in the transport sector,
Mm-hmm.
those in
Yeah.
the PPPs, no,
Yes.
the cash transfer program, and also the
The
fuel
fuel subsidy program.
fuel taxes relief. No,
Yeah. Okay.
we understand that for LPG, there has
Yes.
already been some efforts to remove um,
Yes.
uh, uh,
The taxes.
taxes, no, and
Yes.
fuel surcharges. So those are some of the things that Secretary Go explained that we
Mm-hmm.
are continuing to do to manage the situation in the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines,
So, okay.
and that uh, to give assurance, no,
Yes.
to our American partners that everything is stable and everything is being managed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the pitch. That's the pitch of the finance department in that particular business roundtable with American investors. And just to go back in the discussion regarding the business roundtable, and for the knowledge of our viewers and listeners here in the Philippines
Mhm.
and around the world, how much are we aiming to bring in investments, Minister?
Of course, it's difficult to pin a particular number. No, of we the U.S. has traditionally been a very important economic partner of the Philippines. It actually is our largest export market. Uh, and In terms of high quality investments, it's among the top three. So we continue to encourage a lot of U.S. investments to come to the Philippines. If you look at our IT BPM sector, the BPOs, the business process outsourcing sector, a lot of these companies are American companies.
Mm-hmm.
And we are seeing a lot of interest for many companies
Mm-hmm.
to expand their presence in the Philippines. In fact, just last year, we there was a big U.S. company which expanded their global services, the
Mm-hmm.
shared services in the Philippines. This is a medical services
Yes,
company.
that's
So
right.
one of the things that one of the companies that attended uh, the business roundtable, there were about four or five
Mm-hmm.
big medical companies because they see that there is a huge potential for expansion in the Philippines because we are
Mm-hmm.
a young population. This is one of the things that Secretary Go and the economic team emphasize. We
Well, mm-hmm.
among many of the countries in Southeast Asia, we are growing and we have a skilled
Right.
workforce, and there is a huge potential for growing demand, no, for improving the delivery of health services, of improving human capital. So
Mm-hmm.
if you look at some of the things that when you asked earlier about pledges, um,
Yes.
the this business roundtable was or co-organized no by two important associations
Yep.
in the United States. One
Mm-hmm.
is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce,
Mm-hmm.
and the other organization is the U.S. ASEAN Business Council.
Mm-hmm.
These are organizations of different American companies
Mm-hmm.
across different industries. And for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, they shared with us plans for them to organize two business missions later in the year.
Mm, okay.
Uh, and then the U.S. ASEAN Business Council, they organize annual business missions
Mm-hmm.
also to the Philippines. They also reiterated their commitment to have another business mission sometime in the middle of this year.
Okay.
So many of these companies, when they come, they bring a sizable number of business delegations, about
Mm-hmm.
30 to 40 companies, more than 60 to 70 business people come every year. So we expect something similar, probably me, hopefully even with more participants
E-
later in the year.
All right, and that's something the Philippine economic team and the Philippine government can look forward to. The you mentioned the two business missions that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce will conduct later this year, and also the annual business mission that will be conducted by U.S. ASEAN Business Council, and also you mentioned about the U.S. is being still the traditional economic partner of the Philippines, and at the same time our longtime business partner in our nation's development, and also you mentioned about the investments, or yeah, investments coming from U.S. Businesses that was pledged earlier. So can I get an update regarding these pledges, or what are their statuses right now?
Um, I probably can share because so some of these pledges or investment decisions, of course, are still being
Mm-hmm.
negotiated. So some of these, the details are still being worked out, but I can highlight some investments
Mm-hmm.
that were already more or less firmed up, and some of them have already made announcements.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have actually even expanded already, no,
Okay.
in the Philippines. So I will cite one. One is a company. It's called TE Connectivity. It is
Mm-hmm.
a company based here in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
and it is involved in connectors, which are very important in data centers, in AI. So they actually are the basic foundation, the frameworks where chips, no, semiconductor chips are made, and
Mm-hmm.
they actually have already located in the Philippines,
Okay.
and they announced expansion. They already actually expanded
Mm-hmm.
their plant in Batangas. Uh, just earlier this year, no, in January this year, they inaugurated phase two of their plant, which expanded. It's approximately 4 billion pesos in investments, which is expected to generate about 600 new jobs, in addition to the 500 jobs that they already have. So that's total of about 1,200, 300 jobs that have been created.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of this new expansion will focus on critical technologies
Yep.
that power digital infrastructure, especially AI.
Yep. Okay.
Uh, Another uh, investment that
Yes.
was also announced last year, and which they also inaugurated in late of 2025,
Mm-hmm.
was a global business services operation and expansion of a medical company.
Mm-hmm.
No? It's also a they also run hospitals. They run a lot of um, medical services here in the United States. It's called Bon Secours,
Mm.
Mercy Health, and they already opened, no, a state of the art uh, uh, business processes outsourcing center in the Philippines in 2025. And
Yep.
they also are, they announced when the president was here in July that they
Mm-mm.
have plans of investing in a $500 million tertiary hospital, no, in
Okay.
Philippines. So this is very significant because this kind of huge investment in the health sector in the Philippines is much needed,
Okay.
and that will this will bring a lot of expertise, no,
Yes.
from the United States. So we don't, if this investment is finalized, and this state of the art hospital system is established in the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
this will allow many Filipinos to have the option of staying in the Philippines for first world,
Mm-hmm.
first rate, no, healthcare. We don't have to go to the United States
Okay.
to avail of state of the art advanced healthcare.
Okay. All right. So those are the some of the investments that has been inaugurated. So first is the from the tech sector, and then second is the healthcare sector. So both of them have brought so much investments, and they are we are still waiting for more if they actually will yield or will have their investments return. So, but anyway, so would like to focus this as well, since we're talking about the sectors invested here in the Philippines. So, the government is now focused, particularly on boosting our tech sectors in the Philippines, or is the Philippines still or is open on invest or finding or locating investors in some other sectors like agriculture and manufacturing, minister?
Yes, the Philippines, I think the message that we continue to convey to our American partners, to the American private sector, to American businesses, is that we welcome US businesses in all sectors,
Mm-mm.
including agriculture, including traditional manufacturing,
Mm-mm.
um, including tech, high tech, advanced manufacturing, semiconductors.
Mm-mm.
As you know, the next wave of development will be in digitalization, will be in the productivity gains that artificial intelligence
Mm-hmm.
is set impact on the global economy. So the Philippines, we have to be ahead of the curve. We cannot be left behind. So that is something that we continue to encourage American investors to look at the Philippines, that we are part and parcel, that we are that we will be a valuable partner for them to be part of, that we can contribute to this important value chain. So
Okay.
this is something that we continue to encourage
Mm-mm.
uh,
Our
uh,
investors. Okay.
American investors, US
Yes.
investors
Uh,
to look seriously
mm.
at the Philippines.
Okay. All right. So before I move to some of my questions here, Minister Sariban. So earlier there was you mentioned about sourcing of oil from our longtime business partner, which is the United States. So I wonder if sourcing of oil included in the business roundtable, since we are actively looking for sources of oil, since our oil supply, although we currently we have more than 50 days left of our oil supply, but is the oil supply or sourcing of oil from the United States included in the business discussion?
Um, in particular, in the business missions, not business meetings that I attended, especially the one here in DC, it was just discussed in general. No, there was no specific discussion on contracts um, for procuring U.S. oil.
Yep.
However, I just would like to convey to your audience and to the people that are listening and watching that there are ongoing discussions with the United States between our uh, Department of Energy and the Philippine National Oil Corporation and the U.S. suppliers, no, U.S. companies, private companies, to look at ways, no, to look at options for us to procure U.S. oil. So there are ongoing discussions.
Okay. All right. Very well said. Okay. Regarding that, we'll leave it there, and we hope we will get more developments on that. But going to my questions here, Minister Sariban, how about in our defense sector? Are there any intentions coming from U.S. defense companies to engage on a high growth potential opportunity in our country?
Um, of course, yes, no. But if you are talking about this recent business delegation,
Yes.
the business meetings that Secretary Go and the economic team attended, it was just mentioned in passing. There was no particular focus on defense industrial cooperation at this in this meeting, in this visit. But however, there are ongoing discussions with the Philippines and the United States on upgrading our defense industrial cooperation. You must have tracked or you must be aware that in early 2025, Secretary U.S. Secretary of War, no, then
Yeah.
Secretary of Defense Peter Hegseth, he visited the Philippines and they met with Secretary of Defense Gilbert Teodoro, and the Philippines and the U.S. signed a joint vision statement on Philippine-U.S. defense industrial development cooperation. So it's really um, a bold statement. It's a bold initiative for both countries to develop the defense industrial base in the Philippines. This is part of the continuing efforts of the United States to fortify and diversify its supply chain among trusted allies, among trusted partners. So the Philippines, there are ongoing discussions between Philippine and defense companies,
Uh-huh.
also to support, no, our own objective of the Filipino, the self defense
Yeah.
reliance
Yes.
posture,
Posture.
the
Ourselves.
SIDP posture of the Philippines. So
That's right.
it's really to support our own national objectives, our own national uh, goal
Yes.
for self-sufficiency, for self-defense.
Yes.
So there are ongoing discussions. In fact, last year there was
Okay.
a first ever aerospace defense mission to the Philippines. This was co-organized by the U.S. ASEAN Business Council. This happened last year in August. There were about 20 to 30 companies that visited. This is a first for the Philippines and the United States. This shows very huge interest for the U.S. companies to seriously look at opportunities in the Philippines because there is a lot of opportunity to grow in this sector, especially when we talk about admin systems, when we talk about there are ongoing discussions, for example, on munitions. So these are ongoing discussions between the private sector and our defense
Okay.
departments.
All right.
Also, this is also assisted from our part by TTI, no, our
Yes.
Board of Investment.
Uh,
It's a very important interagency effort.
All right. Okay. Okay. I'll take this liberty, Minister. Actually, it's Hans Siriban, right? Not Siriban. Okay. Just to correct, your first and last name. Okay. So
No
few more points here, Minister. So I would like to ask how the Philippine Embassy in Washington, particularly in its economic section, which you lead, invite American businesses and investors to invest here in the country.
We always participate. No, we make it a point. When we talk about the initiatives of the economic section, we work very closely with our um, other colleagues from other agencies here that are represented in Washington. We work closely with the Department of Trade and Industry. There is the Philippine Trade and Investment Center. There is the Agriculture Office here, also in Washington, D.C. We have a labor office here with represented by the Migrant Workers Office. So we work across many issues with my colleagues here to talk to U.S. companies, to U.S. industry to uh, explain Philippine positions and promote Philippine interests. I think one of the uh, most followed developments over the last year has been the discussions on tariffs. No? So
Right.
the present Trump administration has had um, a particular focus on rebalancing trade, their trade with the rest of the world through tariffs. So that has also occupied a lot of our time to, of course, we work very closely with DTI, which is our lead negotiator for tariffs. We work very closely with them, working with our colleagues with the U.S. Trade Representative Office, with the U.S. Department of Commerce, with the State Department on ensuring that uh, we get the best treatment, the tariff treatment.
Okay, so it's a um, preferential treatment that the Philippines would like to get from our U.S. From our longtime partner, a business partner, which is the United States. Okay, so Mr. Siriban, okay, a few more, if you may. What do you think of the advantage that Philippines has in comparison with other countries vying for the much prized investments from American investors?
Well, I think, of course, the Philippines, what we always say to our American friends is that the Philippines, there is a long history of partnership between the Philippines and the United States. We have more than 80 years, 80 years of diplomatic partnership, but it's actually more than that. It's a long history of partnership and friendship. We are, because of our history with them, we are also largely an English speaking population. So our workforce has that advantage. We are a market economy. We are an open, reform-driven market economy, and it has largely been stable over the last few decades. And as Secretary Go and the Philippine economic team kept on emphasizing during their presentation, we have been investing in many areas, improving infrastructure, especially upgrading digital infrastructure, because that is an important component of the Marcos Jr. growth strategy, digitalization, for us to be able to take advantage of AI. We have to ensure that our digital infrastructure, internet connectivity is there.
Yep.
So we have to, um, we are inviting American partnership, American investments also in this area. So that's something that we continue to work very closely with our American partners.
And coincidentally, Minister Siriban, it's 80th year of diplomatic relations that we are observing between the United States and the Philippines. So all in all, our economic relations with Washington is somehow good despite the tariff rate that is imposed to the Philippines, and it is still in effect, Minister Siriban.
Yes. Well, of course, the tariff rates, these are still in discussion, no? With the United States. A lot of now the Philippines, we are because the U.S. Supreme Court made a recent ruling in February, which um, uh, took down no, the previous tariff rates, no, which were called the reciprocal tariff rates. No, which these were under the International Economic Emergency Powers Act of the president. The Supreme Court said that the executive did not have the power to put that tariff.
Yes.
So for the Philippines, from 19%, our present tariff is at 10%.
Okay.
For now, no. But of course, there are still ongoing investigations. The U.S. has initiated what is called Section 301 investigations under the U.S. Trade Act of 1974. So it's not just the Philippines, but many other countries who are part of these investigations. And inevitably, the U.S. seems to be intent on looking at or reimposing a certain level of tariffs. So, however, we still continue. We have already made a submission. We continue to argue our case that we do not deserve
We don't deserve
very
that.
high tariffs because
High tariffs.
our trade with the U.S. is relatively balanced, and owing also to the special relations that we have with the United States. So we continue, no, to discuss with them and hope that we get a reasonable, as you said, a preferential rate.
Preferential rate and also treatment. Okay, very well said. And with that, thank you so much for accepting our program. My apologies if I say your last name incorrectly, but anyway, thank you so much for accepting this invitation and participating in the program. Minister Hans Siriban, the economic section head of the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. And with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. We've just conducted or concluded our interview with Minister Hans Siriban, the economic section head of the Philippine Embassy, of our Philippine Embassy in the United States, particularly in Washington, D.C. And in behalf of our team here, on Radyo Pilipinas World Service, on our technical team headed by Ms. Susan Aison. On Warcast and audio streaming, we have Ms. Justine Osias. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.